was supposed to be her comeback, a second act in a story that once enchanted the world. But for Meghan Markle, May 2025 brought a cruel reality. The entertainment industry no longer seems interested in her fairy tale. Behind the glittering titles and public smiles, Hollywood insiders are whispering one word louder than ever: blacklist. Meghan, once the darling of media headlines and palace scandals, now finds herself struggling to land roles, struggling to keep partnerships, and perhaps most alarmingly, struggling to hold on to the only major project she has left. Her Netflix series, and the story behind that series, With Love, Meghan, is not just about a show. It's a masterclass in quiet rejection, corporate sabotage, and the unraveling of a public figure who thought she could control the narrative. Because while cameras might still be rolling, the power dynamics behind them have shifted dramatically. What was once a collaboration between a streaming giant and a royal figure has become a slow-motion divorce, with Netflix pulling the strings, and Markle left playing defense. Insiders reveal that the supposed Season 2 of With Love, Meghan is little more than an edited continuation of the first. Netflix, however, is rebranding it as a new season, a move some sources claim was pushed by Markle herself. The goal? To make it seem like a successful renewal. But the truth, as insiders describe, is far messier. This wasn't a celebration. It was a desperate bid to salvage optics. The problems didn't stop at branding. When test screenings for the new content began, Netflix executives were blindsided by the overwhelmingly negative feedback. Viewers described the upcoming release as hollow, directionless, and even worse than Season 1. The criticism wasn't just casual, it was brutal, and it hit Meghan hard. One source close to the production said Markle had a full emotional breakdown upon hearing the results, calling an emergency meeting with Netflix leadership the very next day. What followed was a shift in tone that Meghan hadn't anticipated. For over a year, she had enjoyed unusually strong support from Netflix board members, allies who gave her creative control and defended her vision. But those same supporters had changed their tune. After the screenings, the board demanded sweeping changes, including the removal of 5 high-profile cameos that Meghan had personally arranged. These weren't just edits. They were rejections of her direction, and she didn't take it quietly. According to sources, the confrontation between Meghan and Netflix CEO Greg Peters was explosive. After Peters sided with the board on removing the cameos, Markle reportedly erupted, accusing the leadership of betrayal. The meeting ended with tears, shouting, and a clear sense that the bond between Markle and Netflix had fractured beyond repair. The backlash didn't stop at content decisions. Netflix quickly made moves that insiders are calling a calculated distancing. First, they slashed $10 million from the project's reshoot budget, a brutal cut that severely limited the ability to fix the poorly received material. Then came another blow, an $8 million cut from the marketing budget. For a show that was already struggling to gain traction, this was a near-fatal wound. Industry analysts note that such deep marketing cuts are rare for major talent-led projects, and often signal that a studio is trying to bury a release rather than promote it. And if that sounds extreme, it's because it is. But it's also strategic. Some insiders believe Netflix is employing a classic Hollywood tactic: the silent fade out. Rather than publicly cancel a high-profile figure like Meghan Markle, they're shrinking the spotlight around her. By reducing promotion, tightening budgets, and quietly pushing the project to the finish line, they can let the show fail naturally, without the backlash of an overt rejection. It's a strategy Disney reportedly used last year with their Iron Heart series, which went from a heavily promoted campaign to just a single trailer and minimal buzz. Now, it seems Netflix is playing from the same book, and Meghan knows it. Behind closed doors, she's reportedly been pleading with executives to reconsider, to give the project another chance, to renew her contract, which expires in early fall 2025. But those pleas, according to sources, are falling on deaf ears. The Netflix board, including Greg Peters, has made it clear the partnership ends when the final cut of With Love, Meghan is delivered. And if that weren't enough, Meghan's troubles extend beyond Netflix. Talks with Amazon, once rumored to be exploring a reality-style collaboration, have stalled amid disagreements over creative direction and format. Another door slowly closing, another platform pulling away. As these setbacks pile up, Meghan's desperation is becoming more visible. Some insiders describe her behavior as increasingly frantic. The carefully managed image of a poised producer and public figure is slipping. Instead, what's emerging is someone who feels her empire slipping through her fingers and is fighting to hold on. But is it already too late? Netflix's rejection isn't loud, it isn't public, but it's deliberate and devastating. The cuts, the confrontations, the passive-aggressive sabotage, it all points to one thing: the end of a once promising partnership. For Meghan Markle, the streaming deal that was supposed to prove her Hollywood clout is now a glaring symbol of how quickly things can fall apart in an industry that's always ready to move on. As pressure mounted and creative control slipped away, Meghan Markle did what many in Hollywood have done when the tide turns. She tried to rewrite the story. According to multiple insiders, it was Markle herself who proposed labeling the continuation of With Love, Meghan as Season 2. The goal wasn't to reflect a new creative direction. It was optics, a last-ditch attempt to project momentum, to suggest that her show had been renewed and was gaining traction. But behind that illusion was a project in crisis. The original plan hadn't been for a second season at all. It was merely a continuation. Repackaged scenes, re-edits, and leftover content stitched together to give the appearance of something fresh. And when the rebranding idea surfaced, Netflix's internal response was telling. While executives agreed publicly, they reportedly saw it as a way to help Meghan save face, not a genuine vote of confidence in the series. That didn't stop Markle from pushing forward. She worked closely with editors to ensure the final cut looked new enough. She lobbied for celebrity guest appearances to be included, even when they added little value to the storyline. She approved promotional language that highlighted new chapters and renewed storytelling, all while insiders rolled their eyes at what they called a desperate reframe. But the board wasn't buying it anymore. Once committed supporters of Meghan at Netflix, particularly among executive leadership, had started pulling back. Some cited her unpredictable behavior during production. Others pointed to what they viewed as underwhelming content performance and disproportionate resource demands. But the bottom line was clear. Faith in Meghan Markle's ability to deliver a successful project had evaporated, and that loss of trust wasn't happening quietly. Sources describe a growing frustration within Netflix's leadership over what they called brand volatility. Markle's presence, once considered a high-profile asset, had become a liability. The press attention was no longer positive. Social media feedback had turned hostile. Audience interest was waning. And all of that made it harder for Netflix to justify continued investment. Still, Markle wasn't ready to walk away. As September crept closer, the month her contract expires, she intensified her efforts to negotiate an extension. Internal. Reports describe repeated calls to CEO Greg Peters, personalized emails to board members, and even late-night strategy sessions with her remaining allies. But none of it worked. The message from Netflix remained the same. Once this project wraps, so does the partnership. And the clock is ticking. With the reshoot scheduled for June already under heavy budget restrictions, production teams are scrambling to deliver something passable, not award-worthy, just good enough to meet contractual obligations. Meanwhile, Netflix's marketing department has drastically scaled back outreach. No major red carpet events, no full press tours, just a few social posts, a teaser trailer, and a digital-only media push. The silence is intentional. To the public, it looks like a quiet release, but to industry veterans, it's something far more calculated. A fade-out. A controlled demolition of a brand that once seemed unstoppable. And this silence is echoing far beyond Netflix. Meghan's team reportedly approached multiple studios about future projects, from docuseries to talk shows to scripted content. The replies? Polite declines. Meetings canceled. Opportunities postponed. Behind the scenes, executives are whispering that the Markle brand no longer converts. The numbers don't justify the risk. The audience is tuning out. Even at Amazon, where early talks about a new reality-style format seemed promising, friction quickly developed. Sources close to the deal say there were disagreements over creative vision, cast selection, and branding. The kind of clashes that signal deeper incompatibility. And while no official cancellation has been announced, insiders say the project is effectively dead. What's most revealing, however, is Meghan's growing reliance on legacy narratives. Despite the mounting setbacks, she's continued to present herself as a trailblazer, someone who's disrupting Hollywood norms, changing the game and defying expectations. It's a compelling message, but in 2025, fewer and fewer people seem to be listening. And that might be the harshest truth of all. In an industry built on momentum, perception is everything. And right now, Meghan Markle's perception problem is outpacing her production pipeline. She's fighting battles on all fronts, internal and external, creative and contractual. And without strong partnerships or consistent public support, even the most polished image begins to crack. Netflix hasn't said it publicly. They haven't issued a statement or pulled her content, but their actions are speaking louder than any press release ever could. The reduced funding, the canceled cameos, the marketing blackout, the refusal to renew, it's all part of a message they don't want to say aloud. Meghan Markle is no longer part of their vision, and for a woman who once captured the world's attention, that silence might be the loudest betrayal of all. She entered Hollywood with a global platform, a royal title, and an army of media allies. But titles fade, platforms shift, and allies disappear when the spotlight dims. Now, with only a few months left on her Netflix contract and no clear path forward, Markle faces a future she never imagined. One where the cameras still roll, but the audience and the industry has already moved on. In a world where streaming, empires rise and fall overnight, even the biggest names can be quietly erased. Meghan Markle's unraveling partnership with Netflix isn't just a personal defeat. It's a warning to every celebrity betting on image over impact. For now, she may still be in the frame, but if the silence continues, she may soon be written out of the script entirely. If you want more updates on this Hollywood saga and the secret moves behind the scenes, make sure to stick with us, because what comes next could change the entertainment landscape forever.